Bruce, and he's going to tell us all about Halden and Biddulph. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's amazing to see what happens in this area. I've been away from the area and I've been working away from the area, and you come back and the Vale and Barton are actually starting to become a more community-minded place now. People are starting to take interest in themselves and what each other are saying. It's actually quite. I was at an event in Leaving Grove and I was telling Caroline, and I'm going to get on my throat now. But it was amazing to see people actually so involved and so caring about their area and each other. And I'd never heard about it before. And I think coming back here from working in Glasgow and being involved in a big city, and you come back to your own area and you see the changes here, and they're remarkable. And the people here are doing fantastic work. And I've spoken to so many people actually since I started doing this kind of thing, and I realise that people are truly passionate about their history in the Vale, even in Dumbarton. I started this book because it started as a walking guide. I wanted to do a guide for tourists. And simply I was going to print off some pamphlets and I'm going to leave them in shops. And I've been collecting notes on what I'm interested in for years, many years. And they've built up in old computers which are transferred into new computers. And I'm sitting looking at all, I'm thinking, well, it's a waste it all sitting here. It's an absolute waste. And I started to add to the little walking guide I created, and it got bigger and bigger. And I thought, actually, there's some things coming out here that are more important than simply a walking guide. Because even when you start to dig deeper into anything, you discover things you didn't know, naturally, because you're trying to find truths to what you're saying, and then you find other ones. And I'm not a writer. I'm not an author, really. I'm not skilled in writing. I'm just passionate about what I do. So I thought, write it down, because when you die, somebody will be glad you did it. And hopefully while you're living, somebody will be glad you did it as well. But what struck me first was Halden. I grew up in Halden. I went there in 1965, and I think I had probably the best childhood ever in that place. It's a wonderland. It was a wonderland back then. You had the railway line at the back, which had been taken away in 64, 65. And I don't know if did anyone from Halden? There is a one or two. Oh, there's quite a lot actually. Right, that's it. I'm in trouble. I'm listening to every word you're saying, and you remember the rickety moss walk. You went round the back of the horseshoe, by the targets. Yes. Good. You came back down Tinkers, and that was your nighttime walk. And everybody did it. Do you remember that? I mean, couples did it, Waynes did it. And it was a ritual almost, and it's gone now. But that was our adventure playground. And we built dens, and we were in the burns, and we walked up to Kildarvan, and we went up to the Bislands Quarry, and we scaled down it. Mother would have had a fit, she knew. I've never seen boys this day, and they were like spiders going down the side of it. So it was dangerous. But we never thought of danger back then, and our sense of fun was simply that you had freedom to do what you wanted up there. And you think poor Watson, he must have went through hell with us. Because I think he gave over the fields to us eventually and just gave up. You know, the field at the back of Cranloch was practically a public park, wasn't it? I mean, we took it over. Remember the sledging on it at night in winter? In Bramble, we just walked through that field and just helped ourselves. So, what I'm trying to say is Halden's awful dear to me. And in no way am I putting down the Halden when I say this. But I'd always had this feeling that Halden, as I knew it, something was wrong about it, because the Shandon Brae didn't look right. And I've never come from the idea that Cook Road was our main street, because it's an awful strange main street. And then Miller Road was odd. It went on to Cook Road, but it didn't. It went that way. And then you're looking at the block of flats for the bridge, and you're thinking, that shouldn't be there. That's wrong, because that was the old road. And then you're looking at the Shandon Villa, where the Rowneys stayed. Ah, really? Yeah. So you're looking at that, and you're thinking, well, that must have sat there on its own for ages. And so I always felt, then you go to the Smiddy, and everyone called that the Smiddy. And I was never comfortable with that either. I don't know why I was never comfortable. And then it struck me, because when I was a kid, I remember 1970, I think it was, my dad went past it in Old Hillman Minks that we had, And the tenements, there were tenements there, and they were derelict because the storm had blown the roofs in. And there was frightening looking set of buildings you ever saw that I'd ever seen. And the dark trees, and I mean, you could have made a horror movie. That was so gothic. It was so gothic. But I wondered if it was a false memory, and I said to my dad, he said, no, there used to be tenements there. And I thought, right, maps. I've got to look at maps here to verify this. And then you go to the 1950s map, and and you look at it, and it says Halden's Mill right across that area. From Biddulph, right across, it's Halden's Mill. And so I thought, right, this is interesting. Go back another few generations, and you discovered before the Lowland Road was there were even more buildings in the Mill of Halden, right in the centre. And you look at it and you think, wait a minute, this is the whole town we're looking at here now. And what we grew up with was Halden is the scheme, and the other side is Biddulph. So you've got us working class people, and you've got Spam Valley Road. Right? That was the division. I mean, we'll be honest here, that was the division. But it isn't true. Where the Spam Valley people live is actually Halden. That's Mill of Halden. The bifurcation that's a lovely word, isn't it? The split that happened caused us to think the Biddulph was that side and we were a council estate. And that was it. And then there was the smithy. But that totally destroys what the Mill of Halden was all about, really. Because Mill of Halden was everything from stands upwards and eastwards and a good bit westwards. And so I thought, right, okay, this needs investigation. Why is it called Halden? So you go back to the partition of Lennox. So you go back to medieval times, and after the death of the Countess Isabella, the Darnley came back and said, this is mine. And the Haldens, who had married the nieces, grandnieces of, what's his company, of Isabella, said, no, it's ours. And the Neckers said, no, it's ours. And they had a big fight, big legal fight. I think it went on for about 40, 50 years. And eventually they split it up. And Halden got a huge slice of it from roughly the east bank of the Leven, above Jamestown, and right over to Drimway. A massive set of lands, and up to Biddulph. And the village that was there, if it didn't exist, he certainly built a manor hall there. And that was the centre of the estate. It was not just an estate, it was a barony. It was called the Barony of Halden. So he erected this barony, because obviously he wasn't going to be there or Lennox. But, well, I'm going to be a baron then. So he erected a barony, and he stuck a baronial mansion there. And there was a mill there, and there was probably various other things there at the time. And if you look at the name Mullinbowie, well, Mullin is that no Gaelic for mill? And bowie, yellow? Well, that, to my mind, that's almost synonymous with corn mill, isn't it? Which indeed the Mill of Halden was, corn mill. So that tells you that perhaps before even Halden took over, there was a settlement there. And you look at the other maps, and you see when Halden grew, with lots and lots of little buildings around the corn mill, and one or two other buildings scattered and farms scattered around about it. Binnell was tiny, Alexandria didn't exist, Renton was just vestigial, and Jimson didn't exist at all, and Biddulph was an inn. In fact, it wasn't even an inn, it was a ferry. So therefore, Halden was the centre of the Vale of Leven for a long, long time, and that makes sense when you look at the roads. Tinker's Loan comes down, goes over the ford, goes up to Steny goes across to the Old Fort, goes up to Glenfruin, goes down to Darleith, across to Greenock. The military road, well, what became the military road, the Jimson Road, connects you to Drimmen. And then you see that was the centre where all the roads, north, south, east and west, met. Therefore, it was highly important. And it was so important that it became a barony. And yeah, when you look at it from our angle, and there's a point to all this rambling, I swear there's a point to it. From our angle, it looks the opposite. Because from our angle, Halden looks like a scheme that's plunked on a hill. Yeah? That's a given. Because most people understand Halden to be the precise opposites of truth. Halden was the principal settlement of the Vale of Leven. What I'm trying to say is, through all this very convoluted, because I'm a bit of Billy Corn, I get lost sometimes. The reason I wrote the book was to try and look through the telescope the other way. And I started off with Haldane, and then decided that perhaps it was time to put in other things. And my main focus is to think of Biddulph as the seat of royal power, and the seat of British power, and the very epicentre of our modern history. It really, truly is, because Biddulph Castle was the seat of the Earls, and from the Earls came the Stuarts. From the Stuarts came the dynasties that we understand that have led us down to the present-day royals. So, if it wasn't for the Earls, if it wasn't for Biddulph, and it wasn't for this era being so prized and so fought over, it's possible history would have changed entirely. And it came from somewhere else, but the fact is, it came from Biddulph. And the road that goes from the bottom of the park at the River Leven is possibly as it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's not changed at all. It's the same road. And that road led to the old castle, which was a major castle of the Earls, and that road would have seen processions going up there as the Earls entertained the rulers of Scotland, because they were the family everyone came to. They were the family that were most revered, and they themselves produced the Stuarts. So that road would have daily seen all sorts of pageants and processions going up there. And now we trudge up and down with our ice creams and don't even think about it, because we're looking through the wrong end of the telescope, and a place where you go to have a drink, have a swim, and go home in the train with a sunburn. I think that the more that all of us start to take a real interest in our history and start believing in the real treasures of this place, then perhaps when people visit here, they might get a better idea of why this place exists at all, and that the songs of old that sung about it in such wonderful terms, although we look at our valley now and it's just covered in houses and roads, and sometimes the most hideous contraptions ever devised by mankind have polluted it. It was originally probably one of the most beautiful and most sought after areas of Scotland, if not Europe. And that's why it became the place of legends from a very early age. And this tiny wee book, the reason I wrote it is to try and put some of what I feel into that, and it might not entirely give you the whole story, and it's a bit bitty, and I've deliberately written it in such a way that it's conversational, and I'm not the greatest writer in the world, but I hope my enthusiasm for what I truly love gets spread out amongst people, and they just go off and they just say, right, that's what he says, let's see what I say now, and do your own research. And that's about all I can say now, because I've run out of words. But thank you very much indeed.